Mr. Sanchez Amor, can there be different standards of democracy, rule of law, checks and balances, political rights and liberties?
Well, thank you, Jacob. I'm guessing I'm representing here the European Union. And the European Union, not, of course, clearly representing the European Union, but coming from an European institution, I try to complete the picture. We are a very strange monster, the European Union, for many reasons. We are getting rid of the sovereignty. Sovereignty is clearly entrenched in the current way of thinking in the world, and we are getting rid of sovereignty in many aspects. You remember when we studied that the core concept of sovereignty is defense, currency, and we are getting rid of all of that. And other of our particularities is not only that we are funded in the values that has been mentioned by Clara and Iman and the others, not only we have been founded in this relation, it's a constitutional duty of the of the European institutions to conduct the foreign policy under the principles and values of promotion of democracy. Promotion means you have to do things actively. It's not to respect, it's not to interfere. On the contrary, we have a constitutional mandate to, let's say, interfere. This is a question. But that puts the European Union in a very particular position regarding universality of human rights. And we were on the verge of having fully fledged content of human dignity when we drafted the Declaration of Human Rights. And when I say we, I say what we call the Western civilization and the Chinese one. And something has been forgotten in the meantime, because the contribution of the Ambassador Pen Chun-chan to the Declaration of Human Rights, it was a key to introduce the Confucianism ideas and values in the declaration. And it's true, even the abstentions of the Soviet world was instrumental because the lack of criticism on the fascists and Nazis and the lack of putting relevance on the social values. But even the Soviet world challenged consistently the core of the idea that we agreed at the content at that moment, in the 40s of the last century, in a content of what means human dignity. And we translate human dignity in a set of values and principles. And what happened later, this idea was started to depict as a colonialist, neo-imperialist, but the Declaration of Human Rights has many ideas coming from the East. It's the idea of Ren, conscience in Confucianism, empathy, the values of norms, the value of family. It's colonialist from east to west, because sometimes when we talk about transferable, we always think about western to south and to east. It was not the case. The question is, are we able to agree again in a complete setting on values and principles and rights to feel the content of the idea of human dignity or not? Because we were on the verge of doing less than 1 century ago. And my idea is we have to try. We have to try to agree on another setting of principles and values really universal. And if they are not universal, they are not transferable. Meaning, if they are transferable, it's a cultural exportation. But if they are agree on the universal values, they have to be universally accepted, meaning not non-transferable, but accepted.
Thank you. Just Mr. Sanchez, we opened this discussion about who will set the standards of universal values, who will judge if they are implemented, and how do you see this situation? Could the European Union be this institution, this organization that could judge about violations of certain political values and an institution, or this could be maybe taking responsibilities of some other institutions, or even breaching the sovereignty of their member states or other sovereign states?
No, not the European Union for sure. We would like to ban on international bodies like United Nations or other. But you mentioned who is able to judge. The only person able to judge is the person who decides what the word means. And I try to challenge the ideas of Ambassador Lu Shaye. If we conduct a kind of experiment similar to the laptop left in a park, and we put in New York a person with a banner protesting for whatever thing, this person protesting for whatever political reason is going to stay one day, another day, and for weeks. If you go to Russia, to Putin's Russia, and you have a blank, not one single word, sustained that way, it's seconds to be violently detained. And for that reason, when ambassadors say freedom is to have a kind of economic security, no, sir, freedom is freedom. We know it. We know, every one of us. We know what is being freedom. Freedom is the possibility to express your personality. It's freedom of press, it's freedom of association, it's freedom to create parties, it's freedom to vote. We know what means political liberties and freedoms. Then other thing is the economic security. But if you pretend to pass the message that if you have a kind of economic security, this is a free society, this is not true. We have to come at least to agree on the language. And I know the rationale of many policies occurring in China, and I think that could be even defended. But don't mislead the people about words. Political liberties are political liberties. We know in Europe, we know what political liberties are because we express and we use the political liberties on a daily basis. Another thing is the economic security. That is very important for sure, and probably if there is no economic security, there is going to be some social clashes and social crisis and so on. But don't use different languages, because if we use different languages, it's going to be impossible to agree what is the core content of human dignity everywhere in the planet. And this is the only thing we can agree is going to be universal. And there are many other things that are not universal. And sometimes we, the Europeans, we try to impose our standards as universal, clashing with other traditions. But at least during the 40s, we agreed on the Declaration of Human Rights. Later, we introduced another rights linked to sexual moral, sexual preferences, abortion and others that could clash with other society. But at least try to identify what is the common ground, what is the common denominator of human dignity, because these are universal values. Maybe are not the same that they were in the 40s. Maybe there are others that have been exaggerated in other parts of the world coming from the Western world. But my main motto is, let's try to agree on what is now the content of human dignity, because these are the universal values. And there are others. We are very respectful with homosexuality in the Western life. There are other societies, because many reasons they don't consider this a right, but this is perfect. This is a cultural difference, and we have to defend the cultural difference, but at least try to identify what is the core content of the idea of human dignity. This is my motto. Thank you.
Thank you, YouTube. Mr. Sanchez Amor, just a brief.
Thank you. I think the big obstacle to have a common understanding of the universality of rights is based in a very deep, different understanding of the societies. For us, for the Western civilization, the atom, the cell of the society is the individual. For other traditions and civilizations are the communities, the family, the ethnic or religious community, or the state. Anyway, I think we can encounter a middle way to try to agree on exploring the feasibility of a common standard on universal values, despite this big, deep divide. But we have to adopt, we the Western, we have to understand that we are very individualistic, for the Christians, for the French Revolution, for the Enlightenment, but we have to try to approach other ideas regarding society, the communitarism that is very frequent in Asian and Asian values. I think we need to encounter a way to come back again to what we did in the 40s of the last century, is to recreate a declaration of, again, universal values suitable for today's world. Thank you.